Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So in honor of the release of Fantastic Beasts 3, I thought it'd be a fun idea to go through some franchises that I simply don't care about. Yes, even though I do review a ton of movies and TV shows here on my channel, there are certain franchises, certain corners of pop culture that I simply have no thoughts on or no interest in exploring. And today we're going to be focusing on the film franchises specifically. So yeah, I can't wait to go into my thoughts on these franchises that I have no time for, and I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on franchises that you guys don't care about, so please share them down in the comments below. And before we get into my thoughts and feelings, as per usual, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel and make sure you turn on your notifications so that you can be told when I upload next. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter, where I get up to more shenanigans on the internet. Now, without further ado, let's get into some franchises that I simply do not care about. Actually, before we get started, I did just want to put in a tiny disclaimer. This is not meant to offend anybody. I know what it's like to be really passionate and really love a franchise. Franchises hold special places in people's hearts, and I don't want to make anybody upset or angry with me with these comments. Just know that this is not coming from a place of malice. I'm just joking around, having a fun time here. We're not taking anything too seriously. And also, if you guys happen to feel really passionate about certain franchises that I mentioned in this video, I would love to hear you guys, defend your franchise, your chosen franchise, down in the comments, and let me know what you love about it and why you guys think I should definitely check out these films instead of writing them off. Now, without further ado, let's get into this. Let's get into the mess. As I mentioned before, this video was actually inspired by the release of Fantastic Beasts 3, and so it should come to no one's surprise that one of the franchises I have here on this list is, yes, the Fantastic Beasts franchise. But not only the Fantastic Beasts franchise, oh god, it's my dirty little secret, I also don't care about Harry Potter. Oh, I said it. Yes, I am a British person who does not care about Harry Potter, and at the risk of losing my British citizenship, I will proclaim that to the world. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I don't care about this franchise. Listen, okay? I have two separate sets of feelings when it comes to both corners of the Wizarding World franchise. First, when it comes to the Harry Potter franchise, I do live in the UK, so I was indoctrinated early. From a very, very young age. One of the first films that I remember seeing in the cinema was Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. And honestly, that may have been where my disinterest started. Yeah. Now, come to think of it, that may have been it, because I was terrified when I saw Prisoner of Azkaban. I was genuinely so scared, and that film came out, I can't remember when it came out, but I was less than 10 years old, guys. So this film literally traumatized me. And to this day, I can't handle horror films because of those bloody Dementors. Those Dementors scared the crap out of me. So number one, it was just way too scary for me, especially at the time, and that always made me reluctant to check out the films. But then afterwards, my cousins and I did watch The Chamber of Secrets, and that also terrified me. That made me terrified of old-fashioned toilets in schools. And the thing is that the primary school that I went to was a Victorian building which had old-fashioned toilets, and I remember being terrified whenever I was left there alone. Like, I would only go if there were other kids in the toilets. Whenever I was alone, like, I hated going to the toilet during lessons because I would be the only one in the toilet, and it would just remind me of Chamber of Secrets. So yeah, those Harry Potter films messed me up. But as I got older, I did still go to see the films with my friends. Like, I have seen all of the Harry Potter films except one. We'll talk about it in a second. But I just didn't care, I was never really invested. Remember, the only film that I was invested in was the one with Robert Pattinson. Yep. The one with Cedric Diggory. I don't remember any of the names apart from the main three. I don't remember anyone else's name, but Cedric Diggory, absolutely, he was my guy. And this was the time when I was like obsessed with Twilight. Okay, so yeah, it makes sense that I checked out this film and I was like, oh, hang on, that's Pax, okay. And I was so upset when he died. Can you imagine the trauma? Again, traumatizing that this franchise has done to me. And so I will reveal to you now which film I didn't end up checking out from the Harry Potter franchise, and that is in fact the last one. I still haven't seen the last one, guys. I still haven't seen I was about to say Breaking Dawn Part 2. Wrong franchise. What is the last one called? The Part 2 of Deathly Hallows, that's it. I still haven't seen Deathly Hallows. Oh my god, I'm gonna get deported. I still haven't seen Deathly Hallows Part 2, and guess what? I don't care, and I may never see that film. I literally, I could not care less. I'm so sorry. I think the biggest hurdle for me when it comes to Harry Potter is that I always found it so confusing. Like, I always found the mythology so dense and confusing, and you'll see that in a little bit when I discuss some other franchises. But when I feel like a franchise is not approachable, oftentimes I just won't try. Like when it comes to fantasy in particular, and there are some exceptions to this, like Game of Thrones, where I actually got wrapped up in the fantasy and in the lore of that series, but that was because there was a certain angle that drew me in. Like when it came to Game of Thrones, it was that political intrigue angle that I found to be really captivating, but in the case of the fantasy alone, I don't think I've ever really been into that. Actually, me reflecting on my preferences, yeah, I don't think I've ever really loved fantasy on its own for fantasy's sake. So that's why Harry Potter for the most part has been a large bar to me. And then when we move on to the Fantastic Beasts world, I mean, I literally just filmed my review of Fantastic Beasts 3 where I touch on some of these points already. But in the case of Fantastic Beasts, I think the main issues is that, first of all, J.K. Rowling has been granted free reign of this franchise, and I think that's a mistake for several reasons. And I'm not even getting into the political, you know, socio-political nightmare that J.K. Rowling has become. Like, we're not even discussing that. I'm just talking purely from the franchise's perspective. This has been an issue because even though on the surface of it, it seems like a good idea to have the author of these iconic novels, like truly one of the most iconic, you know, book series of the 21st century, writing the adaptations as well, it seems like that should be a really great idea. But in reality, just because you're an excellent author doesn't mean you're a great screenwriter. And I think in the case of JK, it has been shown that she is not quite as good at screenwriting as she is at writing books, and films like Crimes of Grindelwald have definitely suffered because of that. And I did see a bit of an improvement with Secrets of Dumbledore, but she was assisted by another writer when it came to that screenplay, so I do think that that's what JK needed, is someone else kind of taking the reins when it came to the actual writing and adaptation from page to screen. Another issue when it comes to Fantastic Beasts, and something that I cover in my review of the third film, is that this franchise is essentially two different franchises that have been smushed together. This franchise tries to tackle these two conflicting storylines that are both conflicting in terms of content but also in terms of tone. Like, definitely, you know, on the one side we have the Fantastic Beasts angle, you know, and these films are named after these so-called fantastic beasts, where we have all of these magical creatures being explored in this, you know, really happy, joyful, kind of magical and imaginative way. And we have characters like Newt Scamander and Jacob, his human muggle or Naymaj friend, you know, and all of these whimsical characters belonging in this more whimsical side of the world. Then on the other side, we have the exploration of Dumbledore's relationship with the fascist, with the actual Nazi Grindelwald, who wishes to see the end of the human world, or rather the wizards in this world superseding the humans in importance and in class. And those are two very different storylines to try and tackle in these films all at once, and I do see the Fantastic Beast element getting the short end of the stick as these films go on. And so what I think they should have done is split these two apart, where you would have the films delving into Dumbledore's story because he is an iconic character and fans would be more interested interested in seeing his story in the theatre, and then perhaps a HBO Max series diving into the Fantastic Beasts who we see in both the Harry Potter franchise and also Dumbledore's franchise, and perhaps introducing new Fantastic Beasts along the way as well. That would make more sense to me. And I understand that Universal has the TV rights to Harry Potter somehow. Somehow, apparently there's something barring Warner Brothers from producing a TV show based on Harry Potter at the moment, but to my understanding those contracts are due to expire soon, and Warner Brothers has been developing something Harry Potter related for television for a minute now. So I do think that had they had the foresight to do so, they should have split these two apart, because I do think that the Fantastic Beasts series lends itself to a HBO Max show, and the Dumbledore and Grindelwald storyline would be epic for the theatre. Okay, so I've been rambling on about Harry Potter for a while now, because that's pretty much the only franchise on this list that I've actually seen a lot from, but from here on in it just goes downhill. It just goes downhill. My knowledge is like zilch and my interest is even less. The next one up we have is the Ghostbusters franchise, and actually this is the series that I have the second most information on, although in this case I have literally only ever seen one Ghostbusters film, and that is in fact the 2016 movie, which I saw in theaters. And you know, much to a lot of you Ghostbusters fans' chagrin, apparently that film was hated. I was personally in the camp of the 2016 film was like fine but largely forgettable, and the star of the show really ended up being Chris Hemsworth, showing off his comedic chops. You know, he was a great dumb blonde in that film, reversing stereotypes and whatnot. So yeah, I didn't really hate the 2016 Ghostbusters movie, but it didn't endear me to the franchise overall for sure. It was largely forgettable, and to me Ghostbusters, it has always been a film that's been in the background. You know, it's a really iconic film in pop culture. I've seen it referenced many times, but for some reason I've just never felt the need or the urge to check out the original film. I've seen bits and bobs from it, like I said, because it's referenced constantly, but I just don't care. Like that's literally the point of this video. Like I don't care. And maybe when I was younger it was because I was scared. You know, like I said, I was a scaredy cat, and that was partially because of Harry Potter. But you know, as I grew older I was just like, there are so many other things going on. Like, do I really want to dedicate my time to watching Ghostbusters when I could be watching Ghosts on BBC? When I could be watching the TV show Ghosts, okay, the BBC show. Highly recommend that one, by the way. It's just like one that you know, like, I mean, the comedians were, you know, of their time and they're great and everything, mad respect to them, but I can't relate to their comedy style. You know, they were a few generations before me, so like I don't really have any ties to that. And also there's a cultural difference as well when it comes to comedy, because not only is the time different, but so is, you know, the culture, the country that I live in. So a lot of these olden day comedies don't really, you know, work with me. They don't really fit my comedic tastes because of that difference. And I did not in fact check out the new Ghostbusters film, Ghostbusters Afterlife from 2021, because like I said, I just don't care. Yeah, I just don't care at the end of the day. Maybe I'll check it out when I'm really bored. But like I said, there's constantly new content to watch. Like, I feel like I'm wasting my time if I watch something that I'm not interested in. Okay, so next one up is actually one that I am somewhat philosophically opposed to, and that is the Indiana Jones franchise. Now, once upon a time, I'd actually planned on making an independent video tackling this, but I guess I can just talk about this in this video instead. But I don't care about Indiana Jones, and I'll explain why. One of the primary reasons why I've never really liked the Indiana Jones franchise is because it stinks of colonialism. It's because it stinks of appropriating people's cultures, stealing their precious artifacts. Like, it's something that doesn't really sit well with me, and it's something that I discussed in my review of Jungle Cruise last year, which you can't find on my channel because I accidentally deleted the video, as I've already said before. And it's also something that I discussed in my review of Death on the Nile earlier this year, which you can see on my channel. But the whole premise of having this white man who, yes, is an archaeologist, I think, but he's going around digging in, you know, ancient tombs in Egypt Egypt or whatever abandoned, you know, society that he's interested in, and he finds all of these booby traps and whatnot. Like, that whole premise is just not appealing to me because of the realities of the Egypt craze of the, you know, mid to late 19th century to the early 20th century, which led to the pillaging of countless Egyptian artifacts, countless precious objects from Egypt's history and culture just being robbed and pillaged by European people, all in the name of, you know, studying this history that does not belong to them, but they had access to because of what? Colonialism. So yeah, I'm not a fan of this franchise. I have no interest in checking it out. I also think that franchises like this serve to rewrite history and make, you know, the pursuit of obtaining these native people's precious artifacts more wholesome and more agreeable and palatable, especially for a white majority audience. Now, in the case of Jungle Cruise, we did see an attempt to kind of tackle this by addressing this issue somewhat, and at least giving Emily Blunt's character a motive for why she wants to find whatever it is that she wanted to find in that film. And essentially her motive is that this thing, this plant or whatever, could cure a bunch of diseases, and she wants to do this in the pursuit of medicine and whatnot. So they've given her a more agreeable motive to make her seem less problematic, because she's literally going to people's native lands and still stealing from them. But at the end of the day, that's essentially still what she's doing. At the end of the day, that's what she's doing. She's just like the rest of them. So yeah, in my eyes, Hollywood still has a long way to go when it comes to tackling this issue. I just don't think that portraying this movement in archaeology and historical research in a light-hearted blockbuster franchise really does this topic justice. Like, it just doesn't. And I think Hollywood needs to come to terms with that ASAP. And in the meantime, I will not be checking out these Indiana Jones movies. And on top of this whole issue that I just discussed, at the end of the day, like, Harrison Ford isn't my guy. Like, I'm sorry to say I'm sorry to say it, but like, I'm not the world's biggest Harrison Ford guy. Like, look at me, you know what I mean? Like, I don't care. I don't care. Okay, so the next franchise up on my list that I simply do not care about is the Fast and the Furious franchise. Yup, have not seen a single one of these films, and that's actually more of a feat, because unlike some of these other franchises that I've been talking about, the Fast and the Furious have been proliferating. Okay, like, the Fast and the Furious have been thriving these past 2 decades, so the fact that I have never seen a single one of them is actually quite an accomplishment. But I don't care to. I literally don't care to, guys. Like, it's just not, it's really not. I know that these films have become so bad that they're good, but I just want to watch a good film. I just want to watch something good. Like, I just don't care. I don't care for the machismo. I don't care for the talk of family, even though they have the most dysfunctional family on the whole entire planet. I don't care about cars. Oh, there's that. I don't care. I don't care about cars in the slightest. I don't care for the over-sexualized female characters. I don't care for any of it. I literally do not care. And like I said, I've never seen a single one. Like, I've seen shots of a few, but yeah, it's just never been a franchise that I was interested in. And I hear that the main premise of this franchise, which used to be about cars and these guys who were pretty down to earth and used to, I think, steal car parts or something. Anyway, that whole premise has been thrown out of the window as the franchise has grown and grown and grown. And now they've become secret agents for the government who, spoiler alert for the previous Fast and Furious film, actually go into space now. Like, we could actually see a live action crossover between Guardians of the Galaxy and Fast and the Furious, like, any day now, because these guys are actually going into space. Like, it's wild. It is wild, but good for them. You know, the films are making money. Fans are really enjoying these films. I don't really have any hard feelings towards the Fast and the Furious. I simply just do not care. I don't care about this franchise, and I don't care about any spin-off. Oh, hang on, I forgot. Whoa. Okay, so I lied. I have seen a Fast and Furious movie. I saw the spin-off. I saw Hobbs and Shaw. the cinema. Yeah, I did see that. It was fine. Like, I liked it when Dwayne Johnson, I think it's like Hobbs, or is he Shaw? I can't remember. I can't remember which one he is, but I liked it when he went to the Pacific Islands and like he explored the characters' backgrounds there, and you got to see his little community. I thought that was really nice for Dwayne Johnson to highlight that community in this huge franchise. Other than that, like, I can't remember anything. Oh, I remember Idris Elba saying he was Black Superman. That was fun. That was almost worth the price of admission. But other than that, like, oh, I remember Jason Statham. I remember Vanessa Kirby supposedly being Jason Statham's, I think it was older sister, or was it younger sister? Slightly younger sister. That was absurd. That was ridiculous. She's literally half his age. Oh my goodness. So I do remember those few points, but other than that, that film was largely forgettable to me, and it certainly didn't have me racing to go see the other Fast and the Furious films. Like, absolutely not. I just simply do not care. And also, touching on the Fast and Furious franchise, another aspect of a franchise that makes me simply not care about it is when there are too many films and when there is a large inconsistency with those films. I think Fast and the Furious fits that perfectly, because at this point I cannot be asked to sit down and watch, is it like 10, 9? I can't remember. Like, well, I think we're on 10 now. Like, the next one is going to be 10. I can't be asked to watch 9 Fast and the Furious films that all vary in quality. Like, that's not how I'm spending my life. Like, that simply ain't it. Okay, so next one up is yet another franchise that has been thriving in the past 10 years, and that is Jurassic Park. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry to you Jurassic Park / Jurassic World lovers. I don't care about this franchise. Even a little bit. Yeah. I mean, where to even begin? Like, I don't care about dinosaurs. I'm so sorry. I'm not a dinosaur girly. Like, I'm not that girl, okay? I don't care about the characters either. I feel like they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Again, never seen a single one of these films, but I've seen, like, you know, trailers, and I've seen CinemaSins videos and honest trailers and whatnot in the past, so I know a little bit about the franchise. It just seems like the same story over and over again, where you think you can trust the dinosaurs, you think you can go around viewing them like they're animals in a zoo, which is already problematic, but then in the end they, you know, do something, or some scientists test something and it all goes to shit. Like, it's the same thing over and over again, and I simply don't care. Yeah, that's pretty much all I can say. I do think that the theme song, oh, it's stunning. The theme song for Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, whichever one was the first one, by John Williams, oh, the score is just mwah, divine. You know, in fact, so is the Harry Potter score, come to think of it. Yeah, 2 of the best score / theme songs ever written, truly. And I think they're both by John Williams. I believe so. So yeah, just immaculate. But other than that, I just simply don't care. Will I be reviewing the new film? It depends on how busy the weekend is. It depends on how busy my weekend is, and also it depends on the overall consensus before I watch the film. If it's bad, I can't be asked to sit down and watch a terrible film, if I'm being honest. But if it's good, like if people are hyping it up, then I might give it a go. We'll see. And finally, we have the last franchise that I simply do not care about. And this is actually a franchise that's having a little bit of an awakening later this year, because we are going to be seeing a TV series emerge. Last on this list, we have the Middle-earth franchise that incorporates The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. And as I'm saying this, I just realized that I had lied again earlier when I said that Ghostbusters was the franchise that I had the second most info on, because in actuality, I have seen all 3 of the OG Lord of the Rings films. So yeah, like, I actually tried. Guys, give me a gold star, okay? I actually tried, watched all 3 films, but I just, like, I don't care. I think with this one it's tough, because I think a part of me feels like if I maybe gave the original trilogy another go, like, if I just tried to watch them again, maybe I would change my mind. Like, maybe I would, But I really don't want to watch that trilogy again. Guys, those films are too long. Those films are 10 hours long. Why are they so long? Oh, but I do feel like maybe if I gave them another go, maybe I would like it. I'm really trying here. The main issue when it comes to the Lord of the Rings franchise is that it's just way too complex for me. For me, like, I just don't understand what's going on. There are too many characters. The mythology is too dense. And I know that the basics is that, you know, there are some bad people who want to get a hold of a powerful ring. Like, that's the basic storyline, but so much is like involved in that, and then there's the spin-offs and, you know, the extended lore. Like, it's just a lot. I will say, when it comes to the films, unlike some of these other franchises that I've talked about, they were consistently excellent. Like, the original trilogy for Lord of the Rings was just absolutely brilliant, and they hold up to this day. You know, a lot of the special effects and practical effects used make these films so timeless, and I think it is just a testament to Peter Jackson's genius when handling this franchise, that these films look so good even now, even in 2022, like 20 years after these films were made. But when it comes to the content and these characters and the lore and the blah 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 blah, it's just too much. It's just too much. And like I said, like, I was never the biggest fan of fantasy on its own. I like fantasy with a twist. Like, I like fantasy like Doctor Strange because it's part of a bigger story that I really care about and I'm really passionate about. But if you ask me to care about Doctor Strange on its own, you know, devoid of anything MCU related, I don't think I would, because it's just not my wheelhouse. And, you know, in the case of Game of Thrones, as I said, you know, for the majority of the earlier seasons, I didn't care about the magical aspects of the story. Like, I didn't really care about the dragons all that much, even though they looked cool. I didn't care about Jon Snow's parentage all that much. I mostly cared about the political intrigue, and I cared about the Game of Thrones, you know, characters like Cersei playing the hell out of that game. That was the angle that really enraptured me. And then when we got to, you know, the latter seasons, by then I was already invested in the whole story, so I was engaged with the other magical elements of this story. But in the case of Lord of the Rings, it's just so heavily focused on those magical elements that I don't think it's a franchise for me. Then you have The Hobbit on the flip side of things, and The Hobbit is just like, The Hobbit is just there. The Hobbit is just there. You know, as someone who's an outsider looking in, I just heard so many fans bashing that franchise and like saying that it wasn't worthy and it didn't hold up to the original trilogy. So I never really had any interest in checking out the Hobbit films, if I'm being honest. Like, if I already didn't like the Lord of the Rings films and they're supposed to be the epitome of fantasy, then what am I going to gain from watching the Hobbit films, which are by general consensus just huge disappointments? Like, it wouldn't really make sense. But overall, when it comes to Lord of the Rings, I think the summary of my feelings is that I don't care, but maybe I could. Maybe I could. But that's it from me. Now that I told you guys all of the franchises that I simply do not care about, it's time for you guys to let me know which franchises you guys don't care about down in the comments below, and also whether or not you agree with my assertions in this video. Perhaps I was a bit controversial, or perhaps you guys can relate. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Please be sure to subscribe to catch new videos coming up. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.